queens, welcome back. I'm back with a bang because today we're filming a 24-hour readathon, which I'm a little bit nervous about just because I haven't really been on my reading grind this year. I set my goal to 100 books for this year because last year I think I read like 70 and I was like, I can do it, you know? Like for 9 months of the year I won't be at school, like I can do it. But then I got a job and, you know, more responsibilities started piling up, and I was like, you know what, I don't really have time to read and I'm not making reading my priority, and I have been kind of in a reading slump and all that. So all that to say, I've only read 34 books this year, and I have currently 17 books out from the library because I have an insane library addiction. Something about the books kind of being free, like something about being able to walk into a library, take out a book and just walk out with it, just with a little library card. Like it's actually addictive. It's a form of drug for me. It's my form of book buying. I have to leave for college in less than 2 weeks. I realistically will not be reading all 17 of those books, but I really do want to like make a dent in the TBR just because these are all books I genuinely want to read, and a lot of them are new releases that if I return to the library, I don't know when next I can read them. Now, it's currently a little bit later in the day because I was so tired. I couldn't wake up this morning. But, so I was gonna do like 12 hours today, 12 hours tomorrow. Probably won't be able to do 12 hours today because I think in 12 hours it's gonna be like 2:30 a.m. So we're probably gonna do like 8 hours today and then kind of figure it out tomorrow. Maybe do more reading tomorrow. Go on to the Thursday maybe, we shall see. In the middle of the Raven Scholar, which is a chunkster. This is a newer release, a high fantasy that came out in May. I'm on page 117. Yeah, 117. And you know, so this is the main book I want to prioritize because I do want to finish this. Like out of everything, I started this, I want to finish this. Also, I don't want to spend like more than half of the video reading this, you know? So I might not finish it. We might read as much as we can and then kind of move on to other books because I don't want this to be boring and me just reading one book. So far, this book is a high fantasy that involves trials in a sense. The main character, Nima, she's a Raven Scholar and she works at the king's like court. She's experiencing a lot of classism and elitism, but she is kind of like overcoming this, and she's now like the designer of this year's trials because every 24 years the king steps down and they kind of like they battle out to find their new king or queen. Each like clan, because there's different clans, I think it's inspired by the Chinese zodiacs. I'm not sure though, but there's like the ox, the monkey, the dragon, the raven, all of that. I don't think Raven is part of the Chinese zodiac. And so each clan, I think there's 10 in total. In the blurb, it says that one of the contenders dies or is murdered, and Nima, who's the high scholar, she has to like figure it out. Like I'm 116 pages into the book. No one has died yet, right? But that's in the blurb, so it's not technically a spoiler, but no one has died yet. So I'm kind of like, I'm fully understanding what's going on in the book right now, but I'm struggling to like connect it to the larger picture and like figure out how everything is gonna tie together, because the first chapter as well is about a completely separate character that ends up dying basically. I thought that first character was gonna be the main character. Her brother though is featured in the rest of the book. So anyways, like so many different plot points that I'm excited to see how they all connect, because at the moment it's an enjoyable reading experience, but I am like a little bit like, what's the point, you know? Oh, and also a new release literally just came out today, Warrior Princess Assassin, something like that. Apparently it's Poly. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I did download it on my Kindle. If you need a Kindle read at some point in time, I will be reading that book, because one thing about me, I will devour a poly relationship like no other. Poly relationships, top tier.
There's this
character that keeps fucking with the main character, Nima. She's so annoying. I'm genuinely feeling anger on Nima's behalf. Like I can't do this. She's so fucking annoying, and she like really just fucked something up for Nima. Honestly, I don't know how she's gonna come back from this. Like, I'm back with a time update. We have 20 hours left. We have only read 4 hours, but I've been reading The Raven Scholar for the past 4 hours, and I'm so utterly in love with this book. I'm gripped. Like, at this point in time, it's a 5-star for me. I just absolutely adore it. It's so good. It's kind of reminding me of my reading experience when I was reading Six of Crows, like just immediately into the story, intrigued, wanting to see where the mystery goes, you know? I'm just like ready to unravel everything. I'm ready for Nima to unravel everything, because Nima, who I mentioned was gonna die earlier, or I mentioned someone's gonna die earlier because that's what the blurb says, and they end up dying, obviously. And so Nima is actually kind of like, she's not involved with the assassination, but there's not necessarily a role, but like she gets entrenched in it because she has a certain history with the character who died, right? So Nima is now tasked with, or she kind of tasked herself, but anyways, she's back in the Emperor's good graces, and she's tasked with solving the murder, and she has 4 days. But now she also has to deal with the trials themselves, because she has a larger role in the trials. I'm not gonna say it's precisely what, because that's definitely a spoiler. But yeah, she's now involved more heavily in the trials, and so she has to juggle both solving the mystery and the trials. What I love specifically is like, they're 2 different like plots, but they're equally gripping, because I'm like trying to figure out like who murdered this character, like what happened that night, like how did this happen. And as Nima is unraveling different clues, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to unravel it with her. And then I'm also like really determined to try to figure out like who's gonna be the next emperor / empress. I don't know if we're actually gonna get an answer in this book. We will see, because it is gonna be a trilogy, which at the same time, like, the contenders are also suspect for the murder, right? But they're obviously like, they can become the emperor and the empress. So I'm like wills, like, it's just like so many different things I'm trying to figure out, and Nima's trying to figure out. And now that Nima has a bigger role to play in the trials, she's definitely feeling overwhelmed, definitely freaked out a little bit, but at least she's back in the good graces, because there's a period where her life as court was not going well. It's not going well either. Like, the majority of people don't like her, but the emperor likes her again. Or I guess the emperor always liked her. I don't really know. Like, the emperor's kind of weird, not gonna lie. I'm so attached to the characters, and that's what's like interesting. Like, the characters they all have a lot of flaws, and I love flawed characters. Not in like the truly evil, you know, way. Just in like, they're not perfect, they're not like great, but they're super fun to read about, and also like they create some like nuance to the story, I guess. But there's one that's like especially flawed, that like I hated him at the beginning, but like I want to know more about him. Like, I feel like there's something about him that we need to know, right? And like, typically if I hate a character, I just want him gone from my pages, but not him. Like, him, I want to know more. So that's like, I love that. Like, I want to know more about literally all the characters, and I love when I care about the plot and the characters. I'm also like, is there gonna be a romance? I don't know, but I wouldn't mind if there's a romance. But also, if there's no romance, I'm still equally into the book, which is wonderful. I'm really excited to keep reading, but I think I'm gonna take a little break and read a few of my manhwas, or just like the first one. Manhwa I really like is Villains Are Destined to Die. Like, truly one of my favorite manhwas ever. And so I have the first few volumes. I have volume 1 that I want to read. Volume 7 came out recently, and that's the only volume I haven't read. I've read 1 through 6 last summer, and I wanted to like reread them before reading volume 7. So at some point I'm gonna read volume 1 probably after dinner or like during dinner or whatever, and then I'll get back to this. I just like all my other options, like I want a little break from this, but all my other options are other fantasy books, and I don't feel like it's 8:30 p.m. I don't feel like it's time to start a new fantasy book. So anyways, that's my plan for the evening. I'll probably join back a little later, but I want to give you an update because yeah, 4 hours into the readathon. So I finished volume 1. I'm moving on to volume 2. I forgot how much I love this manhwa. Like, oh, it's so good. And Callisto, the love interest. Oh my god. But basically, this manhwa is about this girl who kind of like escaped her abusive house or household, and she basically went to college, and in college, like, all her friends are talking about this really popular game, so she decides to play the game. And then one morning she wakes up in the game and she's playing the villainess, and the villainess in the game kind of like has a mirrored life to her. Like, she's also kind of abused in the game and everything. And the villainess she has 5 love interests in the game, and has to increase their like love for her, their attraction to her. Like, the attraction meter has to go up, and it needs to reach 100%. And for them to like win the game, right? But now that the girl, which I don't think we're ever given her actual name, but in the character in the story is Penelope Eckhart. Now the Penelope is like a villain, or like in the game she has to get the love interest's affection basically, and so she's really struggling because they all kind of hate her right now. And the first volume kind of like sets the tone. The second also is kind of gonna like keep setting the tone, but the more and more like we see the characters, Callisto is one of the love interests. He's the crown prince of the land they're in, and he's just like so fine. He's just like so fine, and like their little dynamic, they're both like, cause she's like pretty ruthless, but like they're both pretty ruthless. He's definitely more, but they're both ruthless because of the like situations they found themselves in. And anyways, like, it's just like this manhwa is so good. It's so addictive too. Like, I could just like sit here and read all of them, and I'm so excited to read volume 7 because, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't read volume 7 yet. But yeah, volume 1 was great. I think I'd still give it 4 stars just because like it's setting in motion. I mean, I am rereading. I think so far I would keep about the same star. I think 2 and 3 are a little bit weaker, and I think it's like 4, 5, and 6 are like much, like when we see more of Callisto, much better. And I just love the art style. Like, I love everything about it. Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 5 p.m. and it's the next day. I woke up super late this morning, but we have 14 hours and 47 minutes left on the timer. I ended up reading 7 hours and 45 minutes. I'm running up to 8 hours yesterday, which actually ended up being perfect because 8 hours yesterday, 8 hours today, 8 hours tomorrow, perfect 24 readathon. That means that today we have 6 hours and 47 minutes to read, because I did read about an hour and a half earlier today, and I read and completed Villains Are Destined to Die volume 2, which I've rated this volume a 3.5. I do think this volume is like a little bit weaker in the sense that like I don't really care about any of the love interests except for Callisto, and Callisto was not featured at all in this volume. And it was mostly Eccles and Winter, and like, I don't really care about that. And like the brothers are kind of annoying. Honestly, I am just here for like Penelope, and then I'm here for Penelope and Callisto interactions because, yeah. In other news, they're coming out with the English translation of the novel, and the first volume is coming out at the end of August, so I'm so excited to read it. Hopefully I can like find it at a bookstore in Canada. I don't know. So yesterday, after I left you guys, I ended up reading quite a few of this book. I mentioned actually last night that I was gonna read volume 2 last night, but I ended up not, because right when I was about to start the volume, my iPad died, so I was like, you know what, it's gonna be for tomorrow. So I read up to page 353, part 5 of The Raven Scholar. Now this book is getting me anxious because Nima is in such a precarious situation. She's genuinely caught in the middle of like betrayals and lies and secrets, and like people are trying to kill her, right? And she's kind of a flawed character, no matter how much I like her, because I do really like her, and I see some of me in her as well, so like but she is still flawed, right? And she has done certain things that like doesn't necessarily warrant assassination's attempt on her life, but like you can kind of understand people don't fully like her. But she's like discovered something about the emperor, and she's discovering a lot of things about the investigation. Like I mentioned, they're still trying to uncover who killed the person who died, and so she has basically found that out, but there's still like a lot of more mysteries around it. I'm scared for her basically, but I'm assuming she's not gonna die unless because at this point in time I feel like the author could generally do anything, because like I mentioned at the start of this video, the character in the first chapter, or maybe it was the prologue, anyways, she ends up dying, right? But I thought she was going to be the main character. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if any character dies, including Nima. And like the other books in the trilogy follow other people, or like follow the progression. Because Loki, sometimes I feel like this is written like a history book, because sometimes there's, I'm not sure what they're called, but like these things at the bottom, written kind of like edits in a history book. So this kind of feels to me like a history book, like written through the eyes of the Raven, maybe. I don't know, that's kind of like what I'm experiencing, like what I'm feeling. I'm gonna keep reading it, even though I told you I wouldn't just be reading this book in the video. So far I really just want to read this. I don't really want to start any other book, except if I find maybe some books on my TBR on audio at the library. Maybe I'll do that. I'm telling you right now, this book, 5 stars. I don't know what can happen to not make it 5 stars. Literally, god tier fucking book, god tier fucking series. And I'm gonna need to get my own copy of it, obviously, because I'm going to, of course, read the other books in the series and obsess over the series for the next months until the next books come out. Wait, what's going on? That's what's going on. What the fuck? What? Hey guys, good afternoon. So it's the last day of the readathon. We have 7.5 hours of reading to do. So I wanted to quickly go through my reading updates because I have quite a few. Namely, The Raven Scholar. Now this book is just so phenomenal. I'm on page 515, part 7. The chapter I just finished last night was incredible. There was this crazy reveal that came out of literally left field. I had no idea this was happening, and you saw actually my reaction reading this. It was so well done because I had no idea this was happening. None of the characters in the book know this is happening, but I was like noticing after I read about it that there was little tiny Easter eggs throughout the book, like one-liners and stuff like that, that were playing up to this happening, right? But it also reveals so much about like what's happening right now, what happened in the past, but also what's going to happen in the future, because there's a lot of corruption happening at court. They're about to elect or like get a new emperor or empress, and at this point we kind of know who it's going to be because of the corruption. But because there's like so many different things happening throughout the book, and because we have never really been able to anticipate anything, we don't know if this is actually going to happen. Like, it's the path that it seems like we're gonna go on, but we could not go on it. I'm going to finish it today. I have like 130 pages left. This will be the main focus, and I literally urge you to pick up this book. It is so incredible. And then I started Funny Story on audio. This is a quintessential Emily Henry romance book. I've only read one book by her, Happy Place, before, and it was pretty good. It was what's it called, exes to lovers, and I do really like that trope. Now this one's very fun. The premise, honestly, a lot of Emily Henry's premises I don't care for, so that's why I just haven't read most of her books, but this one is quite fun, and a lot of people say it's her best work, so I decided to start reading it on audio. Even though I have this one, I needed something on audio, you know. This one is about Daphne and Miles, the two main character. They recently both got broken up with by their partners, or their ex-partners now, and they're Daphne's ex-fiance Peter and Miles's ex-girlfriend Petra started dating, right? And they broke up with Daphne and Miles to date each other. So this is obviously very heartbreaking, but also as the reader kind of like, ooh, drama, you know, but for them, sucks. Daphne ended up moving into Miles's apartment, and so now they're roommates because she got kicked out of her house with Peter. So now they're roommates, they're getting to know each other, they're kind of like becoming friends. There's no really romantic undertone, there's nothing really romantic happening at all, but they're two like kind of very different characters. Miles is, you know, kind of like, people joke that he's like a pothead and everything, but he's also super charming. And then she's a librarian, so she's super cute, she really likes kids, you know, and she doesn't really know how to talk to people, so kind of like two different characters, but at the same time, like, they do have quite a lot in common. Miles is currently like showing her around town because she has never lived in Michigan, but there's kind of like, the main thing is like they're fake dating to make their exes jealous because they got invited to the wedding, so they're gonna go as a couple. But also Daphne is planning on leaving Michigan in like 100 days, so there's also that whole thing, and we will see, does she end up leaving, does she not, you know. And then lastly, last night I started volume 3 of Villains Are Destined to Die, and I'm 30% in. I'm not liking this volume as much. I think it's tied with volume 2 just because I'm really reading it for Penelope at this point, because I don't care about most of the love interests except Callisto, as we all know. And this volume definitely centers around her adoptive brothers, which are just, they're so annoying. They're so like devious. They're low-key just bullies, and I don't care to read about them. But Penelope is such like a amazing main character, honestly. She's like tough, she stands her ground, she's confident, all of that. And I just love how she's written, and how despite like everything she's gone through, she's still so strong. And like, she's been put in such terrible situations, both in this game life but also in her real life, but she's still like has so much empathy, and she's an all-around great person. And so I love reading this manhwa for her, but also Callisto. Wait, is my volume up? Yay! We are officially done with the 24-hour readathon. We are done. We completed it. Let's go through the books I managed to finish yesterday. Most important book and the most amazing book I've read all year, The Raven Scholar. This blew me away. I have said mostly everything I wanted to say about this book in past clips, but I will say there is a romance, and it is so cute, and a lot of my opinions on certain characters changed. I mentioned earlier that there was a character I really disliked. I actually almost hated since the beginning, and it's not that necessarily he had a character growth, but just so many terrible things happened to him. And there's like flashbacks of like his mother remembering certain actions he did when he was little that genuinely had me almost tearing up. And I hope that he survives in the next books, and I hope he has a happy ending. Ending is just so bittersweet because technically the bad guys win, and the book is a lot more nuanced to have bad guys and good guys. Everything was uncovered, right? So it's not like we can go back to how it was when we were in denial at the start of the book, and that all the courtesans were in denial and Nima was in denial or honestly ignorant of what was happening. And so we can't go back to that. So we've reached kind of a middle ground where the bad guys have won. It's the end of book 1, and we have a lot more to look forward to into book 2 and 3. But at the same time, I feel like the ending is kind of sweet in a way because it could have been so much worse. And the way Nima and Cain and Tala ended up together went a completely different path than I was expecting. Like, and that's what I just absolutely love about this book. You always, and it's like, you see the little Easter eggs and you make conclusions based on them, and like maybe 5% of your prediction was correct, which means like you were on the right track. But Antonia is just such a genius that she has made just the most perfect world and the most perfect story. I will 100% be acquiring a copy of for myself, and I will be on my hands and knees praying nightly that we have at least an announcement of when book 2 is going to come out. We know that book 2 is going to be called, I think, The Fox in Winter, yeah. Which, I have a theory about that. This one is the Raven Scholar, right? And the ravens were heavily prevalent in the book, and we got their point of views, right? So I think in The Fox in Winter, we're now going to have the fox's point of view, and it might center more on Cain since he's a fox. My literal only 6-star read of the year. I was like, I don't think I'm going to even get another 5 stars. Lo and behold, 6-star. Another book I finished was volume 3 of Villains Are Destined to Die. This one, I think I'm rating a 3.5 as well. I think it's the same caliber as the last one. We only have a little glimpse of Callisto at the end, but since we're now at Callisto's Imperial Hunting Tournaments, Volume 4 is going to have more of Callisto, and I'm so excited. Not much to say about Volume 3, just that it's a solid volume, and I'm excited to keep reading the series. And then last update is with Funny Story by Emily Henry. I got to page 267, so they haven't really confessed, but they're definitely lustful. Like, there's a part where they almost fucked, and they just like stop themselves because it would be a bad idea, but they definitely are physically attracted to each other, and Daphne's definitely starting to get emotionally attracted to Miles as well. We don't really have a Miles point of view, so I'm not necessarily sure where his head is at, but they are quite cute, and they each have family issues, so they're each helping each other like kind of tackle and like not get over, but like grow and kind of like move on in a way from those family issues, or at least learn to live with it and but still like enjoy their lives and living and everything. She still obviously is not necessarily over the hurt that she went through with the breakup, so we definitely are going to see a resolution both on Miles's end and Daphne's end, because they're definitely still, a part of them are definitely still hung up on the breakups. I don't know if it's like once the family was introduced, but that maybe I started being a little less interested. It's not that I don't care about like Emily Henry adding some depth to her characters. I feel like I didn't really want to read about like annoying fathers right now, so that might be like taking me out slightly from the book. Also, the other thing is like I do think it is a little insta love just because they're immediately attracted to each other, but they're also so broken over the breakup, so it's like it kind of comes out of left field because you're like, okay, but I thought your ex-partners were the loves of your lives, but now you guys want to jump each other's bones like a month after the breakup and living together. Like, it feels just a little bit sudden, especially since, like, I assumed they were friends before the breakups. So it's like, did you guys think each other were attractive then? Like, was this always kind of like deep down in you guys? I would have put up all the stats on the screen. I feel like definitely I read a little less than typical in a 24-hour readathon, just because the Raven Scholar is definitely a little bit of a denser read and the pages are like abnormally long. I don't know how to explain. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and maybe leave me like a little raven or bird emoji if you watch till the end of the video. And if so, I love you immensely, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.